Today I am going to discuss about the topic IC engine component. It's come under the course subject of automobile engineering. So this is the IC engine component. You can see this is number of components are present in the IC engines. So you see that the IC engines is mainly having a three important blocks. One is called cylinder head, another one is called cylinder block, another one is called crankcase. So these are the three important blocks in the IC engine. On the cylinder head, you can see that there is valve. Valve is placed in the cylinder head, and the camshaft is placed in the cylinder head, and the spark plug it is placed in the cylinder head, and instead of spark plug, the injector is also placed in the cylinder head. If it is a diesel engine, the injector is placed. Otherwise, in a petrol engine, we are having a spark plug. So these components are mounted in the cylinder head. You see, it is clearly you can understand. In the cylinder head consisting of the valve, two valves, inlet valve and the outlet valve, spark plug and the inlet camshaft and the outlet camshaft. In some of the engines, in that case engine it is called as overhead cam. Okay. So in the overhead cam, the cam is placed in the cylinder head. In some of the engines, the camshaft it is placed in the crankshaft, that is in the oil some cases. So that the valve mechanism it is there, push rod and the rocker arm components are also added along with the camshaft so that the valve will open. Okay. So this is one of the important thing. After that, the cylinder head. So there is two manifold it is there. One is called inlet manifold, another one is called outlet manifold. So these are all the component, IC engine components are there in the cylinder head. Next one it is called the cylinder block. So it is a very important component of that. So on the cylinder block it is a separate part, and also there is a piston. In the piston we are having a connecting rod. The piston and the connecting rod is connected by the piston pin, and also there is a three type of rings are there: compression ring, two compression rings, and the one oil ring. So these components are presented in the cylinder block. So this is another thing. Last it is called the crankcase, or we can say it is on the oil sum. So on the crankcase or in the oil sum, you can see it is the crankshaft it is placed in the crankcase. So that is a very important thing. Another thing, the oil is also stored in the crankcase. And the connecting rod also, the big end of the connecting rod, you see the big end of the connecting rod also in the crankcase. The small end it is presented in the cylinder head, and the big end is presented in the crankcase. Okay, it is the movable parts. So based on the running of the engine, the connecting rod is moved up and down. So these are all the components are presented in the IC engines. Generally, why we are saying it is a IC engine? IC engine, it is expansion form of internal combustion engine. So there is a two type of combustions are there. One is called external combustion, another one is called internal combustion. In internal combustions, what is happening here, inside the cylinder, inside the engine, the both combustion, that is called thermal energy chemical energy is converted into the thermal energy because of the combustion process. And also that thermal energy is converted into the mechanical energy. This is also the two energy changes. First thing, chemical energy is converted into the thermal energy. Second energy changes is thermal energy converted into the that is thermal energy means it is heat energy is converted into the mechanical energy. So these two changes, energy changes, it is happening only inside the engine. There is no separate components are there. But in some of the external combustion process, the combustion process takes places in some other places, in some component, and the energy conversion, that is thermal energy converted into the mechanical energy is taken places in the some other places. Okay, so that is the thing. But in engine, we can say it is a internal combustion. So that is a main important thing. So next we can see one by one what are the functions of the individual component and what is the material are used to making that part. Okay. So first thing, it is a very important component. We can see the images of the cylinder block. From the images you can understand that it is a very big size component are there in the IC engine. So the cylinder block is a very big size because it's have to hold the cylinder. For example, a single cylinder it is a small size. If it is a multi-cylinder, here we can show it is a 8 cylinder. 4-cylinder in this side and the 4-cylinder on the opposite side. This is the V-type cylinder block. So the 8-cylinder should be placed in that, 8 pistons should be placed in the cylinder block, so that much of spaces to be provided there. So it is a very bigger size. If the size is bigger, it is also the weighter component. So that is the main thing, main weight component in the ICE engine is a cylinder block. Then what is the functions of the cylinder block? Cylinder block, you can see that this is called the cylinder. So you can see this is a cylinder, there is a proficiency it is given there where the piston is to be inserted in the cylinder. So that is the first thing. So you can see that there is a proficiency, the cylinder is there, on the cylinder we can place the piston inside the cylinder. Then the combustion, what I am saying, it is in the ICE engine, the two things is happening there. One is called the chemical energy. Chemical energy is air and fuel mixture. You can see the air and fuel mixture, it is a chemical energy. That chemical energy is converted into the thermal energy, that is called heat energy. That is happening in the cylinder. Okay. So this is happening in the cylinder. Then that heat energy is converted into the mechanical energy, that is also happening in the cylinder. So that it should be withstand both the mechanical forces and also the thermal forces. So these two forces to be withstanded by the cylinder block. Then that much of material you have to use, that much of mechanical property, that much mechanical property material to be utilized to making that component. So normally what we are using there, it is called the grey cast iron. So based upon that functionality, that is called the type of load and the type of load withstand by the cylinder block and its heat withstand capacity and the heat repeating capacity, there is a different material we are using. Here we are, I am listed here some of the material. One is called the grey cast iron, compact graphite cast iron, and the nodular cast iron, and the cast aluminium alloy. So you can see the aluminium is a lighter material but also having a very good thermal conductivity, but the compared with the strength it is minimum compared with the cast irons. Okay. So it is one of the, I listed some of the material. Then another thing, it is the functionality of the cylinder. It is used to be proficiency to do reciprocated the piston up and down. So you look at that in the previous slide also. You look at that. This is a cylinder. So you see this is a cylinder. In the cylinder, the reciprocating actions is to be taken places here. Okay. So that much proficiency is to be given in the cylinder block. Okay. So next, what is the next thing? It is a cylinder head. Already you know about that the cylinder head where it is placed above the cylinder. So that is called the head part. So that it is the top part of the IC engine component. So it is a head, it is the top of the cylinder block. So what is the function of the cylinder head? It is mainly, it is give the closing the cylinder block. What I am told already. So it is the top of the cylinder block. So it closes the cylinder block. So already I told in the IC engine there is a combustion. Another one is called the conversion of thermal energy and the heat energy is to be taken place. There is no heat losses to be taken place. So it to be properly sealed. So it should be closed by the cylinder block. In between the cylinder and the cylinder block, we are using a gasket in order to avoid the leakage of the exhaust, that is called the gaseous mixtures inside the cylinder. First thing it is that, and also it will give the proficiency. Already I told the valves, spark plug or injector, inlet manifold, outlet manifold, camshaft, and the valve spring, rocker arm. So these are all the components are to be placed in the cylinder head. Okay, you see that this is the image of the cylinder head. You find out that these number of components are to be placed here. So the rocker arm, valve retainer, valves closed spring housing for the thermostat because of the cooling system, and the intake port and the outlet port are on the other side. So these provisions is to be given in the cylinder head. Okay. So what type of material that to be used for making the cylinder head? It is the cast iron. Why we are using a cast iron? Cast iron is having it can be hold the compressive strength and this complex component to be made by the casting process. So the cast iron is to be preferable material for making the cylinder head. Next, it is a piston. You know that very important component in the ICE engine, it is the piston. So the piston, it is to be placed inside the cylinder block. So the piston is moving up and down. Here the piston is converted the thermal energy into the mechanical energy. That is to be happen because of the piston. Okay, the thermal energy is happened. That is the combustion of process is happened above the piston. So that the mean effective pressure is to be applied on the piston. So the piston is moving up and down. That the reciprocating motion, is called the mechanical energy. So that is the thing happening here. The piston is provide the to and fro movement, that is called the reciprocating movement. Another one is called, it's convert the reciprocating movement into the rotary motions. So this to be happened, not only the piston is not converting the reciprocating movement into the rotary motion, along with the piston you have to connect with the connecting rod. On the connecting rod it converted the reciprocating motions into the rotary motions. So you have to place the connecting rod with the piston. So that is the important thing. And already I told that transfer the energy to the connecting rod. First thing, it transfers the heat energy into the mechanical energy. That mechanical energy is available in the piston. That piston, the mechanical energy is transferred into the reciprocating motion. That reciprocating motion is transferred into the rotary motions in the connecting rod. So what type of material we are using is that there is called the cast iron and the aluminium alloy. Already I told why we are preferring the aluminium alloy is for the lighter weight and also for the good thermal conductivity, so that we can heat more. You know that the combustion process happening inside the cylinder, it's go up to the 1000 based upon the combustion process and the engine sizes. You can go up to the 1500, 1800, 2000 degrees Celsius also, so it can be more up to that. So that much of heat to be withstood by the material and also that heat to be transferred to the cooling system. So that heat transferring capacity of the piston is to be very important, so that you can easily cool the component inside. The components are there in the engine. Next it is called the piston ring and the gudgeon pin. Okay, so the piston pin, you can say it is a gudgeon pin and the piston pin. There is a multiple words are there. So why we are using that piston pin means you already know about that. You can see that. So in that slide, you can understand that this is the connecting rod, this is the piston. The piston is the connecting rod is connected with the piston by means of a gudgeon pin. So this violet color, it is the gudgeon pin. So that gudgeon pin is shown here. So that gudgeon pin is shown here. That gudgeon pin is connected the piston with the connecting rod. So that it will transfer the mechanical energy from the piston to the connecting rod. So this is happening in the system. Okay, so the purpose of that, already I told there is two rings are there. One is called the compression rings, another one is called the oil ring. So the compression ring is first placed. Normally based upon that type of combustion and the type of combustion pressure, we can place the two or more number of rings, and another ring is called the oil ring. Why we are placing the compression ring means because of the compression process, there is a exhaust gases are there. It try to escape into the sun. So that in order to avoid that, there is a compression ring is placed between the piston with the cylinder, so that it will give the sealing or blocking happening here, so that the exhaust gas will not shield the exhaust gas only inside the cylinder. Another one is called the oil ring. Why it is the oil ring we are placing that? If there is any movement is there, we needed a lubrication system. So the lubrication system is provided in the cylinder head by means of the oil ring. So the oil is placed on the cylinder and also in the piston, so that there is a lubrication is happened, so we can reduce the wear and tear. So what type of material we are using is called the pressed steel alloy for the piston rings and the pin for that forged steel alloy. Forging process is used so that it is a hardened material. Next is called the connecting rod and the small end and the big end. Already you know about that. The piston, connecting rod and the gudgeon pin, these are all the very important component in the IC engines. So the connecting rod is having two things. One is called the small end. Here you can see this is a small end. This is called the bigger end. So why the small end is connected with the piston, the bigger end is connected with the crankshaft, so that the reciprocating motion energy is transferred into the small end, and the bigger end is converted into the rotary motion. That rotary motion is given into the crankshaft. So this images you can clearly understand that. You see that reciprocating motions of the piston is converted into the rotary motions because of this crankshaft. So the crankshaft is converted the reciprocating motion of the piston into the rotary motion of the crankshaft. Okay. So this is happening here. So this is very important component. So for that it's having a bearing, because whenever there is a two components are placed in that, there is a sliding bearings are placed. So in order to reduce the frictions between the two component, one is the piston pin at the small end, the bearing is used. There is a small end bearing and the big end bearing. The connecting rod is made up of a steel alloy or aluminum alloy already. The bearing is made up of a steel cast into a two-part and lined with the white metal. Okay, so in order to resist the wear, oppression wear. Okay. So you have seen that there is a crankshaft. So you find out that the crankshaft is placed in the oil sump or in the crankcase. Here we can get the rotary motions of the mechanical energy. The mechanical energy of rotary motion it is available in the crankshaft. So this is having the crank pin and the crankcase. So the crankcase is mounted on the sump and the crank pin is mounted with the cylinder. So the larger end of the connecting rod. So the connecting rod giving to the turning motions from the crank pin. The crankcase is mounted. It is fixed into the crankcase. In between the crankcase and the crank. So crank web. So there is a bearing placed between that in order to avoid the wear and tear. So what are the material we are using here is called the forging steel and the spiral graphite and the nickel alloy casting. So these kind of a material we are using. And whenever there is a motion, mechanical motion, we needed a lubrications and also we needed a bearing. So the oil is for the, if we are using a bearing for reduces the wear. Okay. So and for if you are having a rotary motions, there is a wear that can be reduced by placing a bearing, and also the oil is used only for the cooling and also for reducing the wear between the two components. So here is also there is a oil holes are there. So on that oil hole, the oil is pressurized oil is supplied into the holes in order to reduce the wear and also dissipated the heat from the crankshaft. So another one is, it is a very important thing, it is called the crankcase. So crankcase, oil sump, oil pan, based upon the manufacturer, you can say it is a different name. What happening it is that if you need the oil, engine oil is stored in the crankcase. So that is the main thing, it is the storing places, and also the crankshaft it is also placed in the crankcase. You see that here the crankshaft it is placed, it is mounted in the crankcase. Another thing, if it is having this, if the oil is having any dust particle, that is also sedimented in the crankcase, and you can also drain the oil from the crankcase also. So you know that why we are using the lubrication oil. So it is for the lubrications in order to reduce the wear, and also it dissipated the heat from the engine component. So that is the main thing. So the crankcase holding the engine oil and also for the crankshaft. So next thing, what are the material we are using for the making of crankcase? It is called the pressed steel sheet and aluminum alloy casting. So these are the material we are using for making the crankcase or oil pan. So another important component is called the camshaft. So crankshaft and also the camshaft. The camshaft get mechanical energy from the crankshaft by means of a timing gear. So it will get the rotary motions. So the camshaft, we can see it is the cam lobe. Because of the cam lobe, the valve is lifted and its valve is closed. Okay. So that is happening because of the camshaft. The opening and the closing of the valve will be happening on the by means of the cam lobe in the camshaft. So that is one of the important thing. Another thing it is called the valve. So what are the material we are usually made by the cast iron with an addition of 1% of the chromium in order to increase the hardened thing of the material. Next it is called the valve. You know that the engine is having a breathing system and also the exhaust system. Breathing system is called it breathe the air, take the air and fuel mixture into the engine, and the exhaust, the combustible mixture after it get converted into the mechanical energy, that waste combustible mixture is to be exhausted to the exhaust valve. So there is two valves are required in the engine, IC engine component. One is called the inlet valve, another one is called the outlet valve. So these valves are made up of based upon the lower operating temperature, because inlet valve is only transmitting the air is get through only the air fuel mixture, it is come under the ambient or above ambient temperature. So the temperature is minimum. So if we are using a chrome, nickel or tungsten steel, but the high temperature of the exhaust gas is moved through the exhaust valve, so it should be withstand the exhaust temperature also. So the silicon chromium or cobalt chromium alloy material and nichrome materials are used for making the exhaust valve. So already know that if you are having a IC engine with the petrol as a fuel, we need a spark plug to start the combustion process. So the spark plug is placed in the cylinder head, but the spark is given in the cylinder block. So that is one of the things. The spark plug is having a central electrode, ground electrode and insulator material. Everything are there in the spark plug. If it is in the CA engine, that is called, if you are using a diesel as a fuel, instead of spark plug we are having an injector. So in that injector we are injecting the fuel directly into the combustion chamber. So the combustion chamber, the combustion process is happening here because of the injector. The last important component is, it is called the manifold. We are having a two manifolds are there. Intake manifold and the exhaust manifold. Intake manifold take the air and fuel mixtures into the cylinder, and the exhaust manifold take out the exhaust mixture from the engine to the silencer pipe. So this is the thing. And what type of material we are using for the manifold? It is called the cast iron, and it is capable to resist the high temperature of the exhaust gases. So I hope you can understand what are the different components in the IC engine and its function and the material. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. Thank you.